Welcome to Season 3 of the Knack for Business podcast. Over 350 episodes strong, we're here to ignite your entrepreneurial spirit with fresh insights, networking gems, and creative strategies that elevate your game.
So, for the audience, how can you turn your business from invisible to irresistible using powerful publicity? Richard reveals the secrets behind transforming businesses through profitable publicity and strategic negotiation. For over 2 decades, Richard has helped entrepreneurs scale their companies from mere concepts to thriving enterprises by mastering the art of visibility and negotiation. Our guest today is Dr. Richard Kaye from the Top Talent Agency. He's a powerhouse in business acceleration and profitable publicity, helping entrepreneurs scale from concept to thriving enterprises for over 2 decades. He's the creator of The Secrets of Empowering Negotiation. He has shared his expertise worldwide with appearances on KGTV, KTLA, and PBS, and features in Forbes. His achievements include the White House Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award and the Lifetime Achievement Award from Top Talent Agency. He shares the stage with industry icons like Lisa Nichols, Mark Victor Hansen, Sharon Lechter, while also contributing to NGOs within the United Nations and the boards for profit companies. And redo that again. Within the United Nations and the boards of for-profit companies. A founding member of the Taos Entrepreneurial Network and former vice president of CEO Space, Dr. Kaye's influence reaches far and wide. He's the author of The Secrets of Creating Customers for Life and recently interviewed Dr. John DeMartini for the Neuroscience Summit with the Los Angeles Tribune, continuing to inspire entrepreneurs globally from his home in Taos, New Mexico. Richard, it's an absolute joy to have you here today. Do you have a favorite quote or saying or a tagline you want to share with our audience?
Well, what a way to begin. I love it. One of my favorite quotes, Bernie, is from the Talmud. We don't see the world as it is. We see it as we are. We make up stories. They're all us. May not be what's real going out there, though.
So, publicity. What are the key elements that come to mind? From a layperson looking in, we see ads, etc. But what is publicity? How does that take shape?
Let's make a distinction because you tied the word publicity with ads. Let's make some distinctions. Public relations has been around forever. What is it about? You pay someone to write a press release, send out a press release, even send faxes, make phone calls, and you pray to God it's a slow news day. If something happens, that is trashed. It never gets picked up. Does it work? It's worked for decades and it's beautiful. Let's talk about advertising. You pay someone to place an ad, radio, television, on an airplane, whatever it is. You can measure return on investment from an ad. Well, how do you do that? The ad gets out today. Did your revenue come in today or tomorrow or over the next week? Let's talk about marketing. Marketing is you go into your local grocery store and it says special today, 2 for 1. Now let's talk about where we're going to focus today, Bernie, and that's publicity. Let's make a statement. You cannot measure the ROI, the return on investment of publicity, because it's long-term. It goes on forever. So, for example, you write a best-selling book, and that's one of the things we do. You write a book and you hope it's a bestseller. We can speak a little bit to that later on also. We help people secure best-selling books, but not just best-selling, number one, and not just in one category, but in multiple categories. Well, big deal. Then what? It's the leverage, it's the publicity that goes beyond that makes it live for a long time. You're on a radio show, a television show, and later we'll talk about how you can get on radio as a guest. It's leveraging so that it lives on forever. So, Bernie, those are just some of the distinctions. Now, your question was, in my interpretation, why is it important? No matter how great you are, if nobody knows who you are, you may as well go get a job because no one knows who you are. So where do you want to go, Bernie? We can follow this trend. You've got a lot of different things there. What do you like to explore right now?
Your thoughts on negative publicity. Some say that any publicity is good publicity. Some people are in the damage control business. What's your take on the noise that's out there?
I practiced chiropractic in San Diego for 30 years. And at the time, I did what was called med legal, which was workers' comp, personal injury. After that, I awakened and started dealing with quality of life. There was a cash practice because you're responsible for yourself. No one else is. An attorney that I had lunch with, we used to do that game back and then. Doctors would wine and dine attorneys would wine and dine doctors. And he said, I don't care what they say about me, just make sure they spell my name right. Why? Now, that was long before social media. And we're talking back in the 70s. Because people remember your name, Wayne. They may not remember what it was attached to, but they remember your name. One of my books, The Secrets of Creating Customers for Life, is about taking people from a suspect, and that's anybody who may use your services, to a prospect, someone you're having a conversation with, to a client, turn them into raving fans. In today's culture, if you piss somebody off, they're going to go online and tell everyone about it, whether it's true or not. Now, let's go back to the opening quote that you asked me. We don't see the world as it is. We see it as we are. Miscommunication happens all the time. I'd much rather have raving fans out there talking about me and saying, it's like Bernie on your website. You've got a testimonial there from somebody who says you're one of the best interviewers out there. What does that say to someone like me as someone coming on? I'm holding you to a high standard because so you do this. And I mentioned something in my practice in San Diego. I'm going to tell you how I got my journey to begin in this publicity field. I graduated with my doctorate of chiropractic in New York, drove out to San Diego to start a practice. 100 chiropractors in town. How do you start a business? How do you grow a business in that kind of crowded field? And ladies and gentlemen, we're all in crowded fields. No matter how good you are, there's someone else, some other group of people doing exactly the same thing, calling it maybe something different, the same thing. So I said, okay, how do I do this? I got myself invited to be a guest on a morning television talk show. As a matter of fact, it was the only television talk show in Southern California called Sun Up San Diego. I got myself invited back every month for a year. And I said, this is getting good. I got an article in the San Diego Tribune. Then I got an article in the Los Angeles Times. Now, that's pretty cool. It doesn't grow business, but it gets people to say, I recognize you. I've seen you around. You know the expression, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Yeah, let's take it a step further. One day I get a phone call from a young lady who is the producer of the ABC News in San Diego. The question, in essence, that she asked me was, who are you? I'm seeing your name around town. I'm hearing your name all over the place. She didn't know me personally, but she had heard of me and got intrigued enough to call me to find out who I am. Well, now I got an ABC News segment. That's pretty cool. Then I get a very similar phone call from a producer of PBS. Who are you? Well, now I got a PBS segment about me. They didn't know me personally, but they knew enough that they wanted to make an inquiry. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what you want. You want people to know your name so when they're looking for whatever it is that you do, whether you're a chiropractor, a surgeon, or a heating ventilator, they want to call you and make an inquiry. And then it's your job to close the deal. That's what publicity is about. And that's why you can't measure it in short term. It's an art. It's a long-term thing. And by the way, stay around because at the end, you're going to get a gift on how to leverage any publicity you have so you can take it and expand upon it. I'm the recipient of the White House President's Lifetime Achievement Award. One day I got that phone call. Oh my God, that's very cool. And for those of you watching, that's it on the wall. Do you know how much business that makes me? Zero. Doesn't make me any money. But what is it? It's credentialing. And you'll see this in the short video. My email signature says recipient of that President's White House Lifetime Achievement Award. It places me above other people doing the same thing.
The thing that's coming to mind as you describe the award that you have, credentialing, etc. Is the medium part of the focus and the social proof part of the process? in getting that publicity out there. Because let's say talk show, that was perfect. Or on TV, great idea. And having ABC and PBS also kind of go, what's going on over there? But sometimes you see influencers, kind of the same thing. And is it a matter of hitting a meme or a style, right? That's catchy, and all of a sudden everybody likes it, and then they start drinking the Kool-Aid all the time just because of that source. You find it that is part of the publicity piece, or are you talking just straight out, get your face there, talk about, speak to a problem or an issue, or make people aware of an issue, and go from there?
The answer is yes to all the above. It's whatever you can do honestly, ethically, and legally to get the media to shine their spotlighting cameras on you. What would it do, ladies and gentlemen, if you were interviewed in, let's say, ABC News? Oh, by the way, give you a reference. When I was on PBS, I wouldn't say it was a long time ago, but I was giving my patients VHS tapes to give out to their friends. And what wasn't just the other day. If you were interviewed on ABC, and I have to be honest, I don't have my connections to PBS anymore. That crew is retired. But if you were interviewed on ABC or had a feature article, now for those of you watching this, for example, here is the New York City Independent magazine with a lady named Beyonce on the cover for you who can't see it. One of the things we do is we have clients on the other side of the magazine. If you're seeing this, it's a physical magazine in addition to the electronic media. What does it do to say, hey, I'm featured in a magazine with Tom Hanks or Beyonce or Nicole Kidman? It adds to your credibility. If you get a feature on ABC News or New York City Independent or the Los Angeles Tribune, we have access, Bernie, to over 20 different big city outlets between print and electronic. And when you are featured on these things, again, I did a favor for somebody. I gave her an interview in the Los Angeles Tribune magazine. Nothing happened with it. She didn't leverage it. It was, okay, she sent an email saying thank you. And it's dead. You've got to keep your name top of mind awareness. Coca-Cola, after water, is probably the most widely and highly consumed drink on the planet. They average $5 billion a year on advertising. Why? Top of mind awareness. So that's what you want to achieve, so that when someone looks in your space, they remember your name attached to it.
Richard, one thing that is sad about the word publishing industry is all of a sudden everyone with a computer thinks they're a publisher. Tell me how to guarantee your press release goes nowhere. Tell me how to make sure that it never goes anywhere in the garbage. Tell me how not to do it.
Let's begin with how to, and then I'll tell you how not to. At a 50,000-foot view, there are three kinds of publishers. Publish simply means make available to the public. If you go to a big house, a Random, a Putnam, any of these, first question they're going to ask you is, what's your marketing budget? All they do is make it available to the public. You've got to do all this. I mean, they'll lay it out in format and all that stuff. Then there's you and me. Any of us can go out there, go to Amazon KDP, lay out a book, hope that the spelling, grammar, punctuation is correct, that it's eye candy, that it really looks nice, and go on and publish it. And if you're lucky, maybe your friends and family will read it. When you work with us at Top Talent Agency as a hybrid publisher, we do it all. If you're not a writer, and most people are not, and then we'll talk about AI in a moment. If you're not a writer, we'll ghostwrite it with you. We edit it. And what does that mean? Editing is different than just commas and punctuation. Is the comma inside or outside the quotation mark? It's about layout. It's the flow. Does it flow so that this makes sense after this? Or is it a jumble? Then we split test the cover. When you go into a library or a bookstore, why do you pick a book off the shelf? Either you know the author's name or the cover appeals to you, including the spine. So we split tested. Quite frankly, one of the things we do was on Facebook. We've got a huge following. Hey, what do you like? Then we go with it. Then we do a campaign to guarantee. How do we do that? We have events, some physical, some virtual. Here's a book, one of our clients, and guess what? Because of the trust and our reputation, people will buy it. Instant number one. Big deal. So let me tell you about David, the president of the company. You've heard of guerrilla marketing, perhaps, J. Conrad Levinson. David was CEO of guerrilla marketing. And as he says, we sold 26 million books. He's got a wealth of information about the publishing business. When you go out and market your own book, do not write a book with AI. It's easy to do, and it gets you nothing. In conclusion, there is such flags when AI writes books. Write it yourself. Use AI to polish it and tweak it and add to it, but do not. There are workshops. We'll show you how to write and publish a book in 48 hours. Well, that's an ego thing, and nobody's going to read it. So does that answer that, Wayne?
More interested in the press release. They think what they're selling is important, and they're not listening to the listener. Tell me more about writing a press release that matters.
It's not about press releases. It's about who knows you. We get inquiries from newspapers. Hey, we're doing a series on, and from magazines. Can you find us people and stories? So we go out to our mailing list publicly and privately, email and social, and say, hey, who do you know has had an NDE? And people will submit articles. And then another one was, who was a mentor that you worked with? So we put it out. Now, these articles in these magazines, these are 2,000-word articles. They're not just compilation pieces. And I want to speak to something that you suggested, Wayne, and I'm going to paraphrase it or rephrase it. You don't speak to what you're selling. Nobody, ladies and gentlemen, don't take this personally. Nobody cares what you do. They care about what's in it for me. We all know that famous radio station, WIIFM, what's in it for me? If you're on audio, there's 2 guys here, 3 guys here. We probably use drills. We want to drill a hole. Nobody goes to buy a 1/4-inch drill bit for the drill bit. They want the hole in the wall. They want the hole in the sheetrock. Speak to the outcome, not what you do. Guys, I don't know if you're on any networking events. I love to speak on your podcast. I want to be on your television show. No one cares. What's your attention when you hear someone say that? Tell the host what the audience is going to get out of it. When Bernie and I had our initial conversation, I didn't tell him my history. I ultimately sent a bio, resume, and all that stuff. But it was what the audience is going to get. That's what people care about. They don't want the drill bit. They want the hole. Makes sense, yes? Yeah.
Earlier, you were talking about the 2 things, and the first thing that came to mind was birds of a feather. So when you're talking about Beyonce on one end of the magazine, and then your client is part of that parcel, almost by association and juxtaposition.
Yes.
And then you mentioned eye candy. So visuals is part of the deal. I mean, unless of course you're standing on stage, stark naked, that might be a visual. Not everybody is going, yeah, that's a ticket. But how do you dress up the visuals and do the association? Is it just a matter of luck and timing? Is it a matter of, if you put up a billboard, you're talking about you getting new tires, you're up next to a used car lot? Do you try to guerrilla market at that piece? Or how do you shape that to make that happen?
Use images that add to your style, but don't overwhelm the audience. You guys are old enough. You're probably near the same age as I. Dane Doyle, what they did is they doubled the sale of Alka-Seltzer overnight. For those of you who are not old enough to remember, Alka-Seltzer helped calm down your stomach, and they wanted to increase sales. But I'll take you to another one, and I don't even remember the product. I can't believe I ate the whole thing. It was a commercial. It was brilliant, loved, it never increased sales. Your goal is not to entertain unless it's tied into a bottom line. So specifically, Bernie, you asked about artwork and visuals. Make it congruent with your message. In the magazine, the images are congruent with the story, with the message. If they're not, there's a mismatch and the audience gets confused. A confused mind never buys. Be coherent, be consistent. Branding is not just a font size and style and a color. It's the whole image you present so people recognize it. Look at Nike, look at Coke. I'm not saying you should drink Coke, but just look at it as an example of what is a brand. No matter where you are in the world, you can recognize that brand. Same do with Nike with their swoosh. You can recognize it. And that's what's important about the consistency. Is that the consistency? Does that answer that, Bernie?
Actually, it brings me to one more point on this. The next part of that is when you say you're pushing out text, you're pushing out conversation, and you're casting the net out. Do you rate it at a grade 3, grade 6 level? Not because the person is not competent in understanding deeper words, but it's easier to process. And is there something similar to that for visuals?
Yeah. The more complex they are, you don't want people to get lost in the artwork.
You mean like Finding Waldo?
I'm sorry? Oh, yes. You don't want them to get lost in it because then your message is gone. The message is what you want people to get, not the cutesy art. And again, today with so many just myriad AI programs, you can create stuff that's absolutely overwhelming. What's your goal? To show off how clever you are or to increase your bottom line? When you do that, you can take better financial care of yourself and your family. And that's what we help people do at the Top Talent Agency. Deliver a coherent message so it's received and people say, hey, I want to work with you guys. We just did an event in Hollywood. I know you guys are literally the other end of the country. You probably heard of the Improv, though. We had a live event at the Improv. We had 201 people on site. 44 of them flew in from the UK. Yeah. And then in the evening, we had a gala and an awards dinner. And who was one of our keynote speakers? You probably have all heard of Lisa Nichols. She was the star of The Secret. She had been on Oprah a couple of times. How big do you want your publicity to be? Lisa was a keynote and contributed to a panel. Man, Saturday night was a dress to impress event. Red carpet. And we're doing another one in December. If anyone is interested, I'll give you my contact information. I'll give it to you right now. Talkaboutpublicity.com. Takes you right to my calendar. Talkaboutpublicity.com. If you want to stand out from the crowd, schedule a call. We'll see what happens to you, whether it's a magazine. We had Lisa interviewed at the NASDAQ studio in Manhattan. And we also have people on the NASDAQ Jumbotron in Times Square. No one looks up and says, oh, that book is up there. I'm going to buy it. It's top of mind awareness. What does it do to you, ladies and gentlemen, to say, I've been featured on the NASDAQ Jumbotron, or I've been interviewed, and not everybody wants to do NASDAQ, but I've been interviewed at ABC or Fox or Newsmax or whatever. And then you have that video clip with behind the scenes video and stills. Got some leverage. That's what it's about.
Richard, my biggest words I hear lately in what I read is the word pivot. You have an origin story. You're a chiropractor. You're paying the bills. You're able to go out for dinner. New car every other couple of years. Where's the path to public relations?
Well, you know how I started my practice with getting in media. And some of you will say, I get it. And some will say, you're out of your mind. I was meditating one day, Wayne, and I heard, shut your practice and work with entrepreneurs. I looked around. There's nobody there. 3 weeks later, I shut my practice. I was in San Diego, as I mentioned. I am now in Taos, New Mexico. I already owned 80 acres out here. And a couple of weeks later, I drove out and said, I'll take some time off. I've been working with entrepreneurs combined for over 30 years. I shut my practice a little over 20 years ago. That was a pivot that absolutely blew my mind. It was not expected. It's been a wonderful journey since then.
You mentioned about being top of mind and the message gets repeated. What type of frequency of repetition has to happen? Is it different medias, like you showing up in the news and print, online, LinkedIn, Facebook? How often does the drum have to beat till you realize, you recognize it? Like, I can't believe I ate the whole thing, the line, because it's ingrained in us. We've heard the commercial so often. Does it matter based on content, product, service, or the medium?
The answer is yes to all the above. When you make a decision to work with us, we'll get you in electronic and print media. The magazines I demonstrated, yes, they're physical, they're high quality, they're coated stock, which means glossy paper. We also get people in newspapers. We get them on television. We get them on radio. We even have a contract with Binge TV where we have the trailblazing work, and we can do television series, television documentaries about people. So the answer is, it's where you as an individual want to go. There are some people, and I don't remember their name, they were teaching, send an email every day. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but when I get someone's email every day, it goes in the unsubscribe thing. It's a little bit much. So you're going to judge your frequency by what it does to your business and your mailing list. If you're sending very frequently, make sure the message, the content is congruent, and find out, are people subscribing or unsubscribing? If you're hitting them hard, that you're getting a lot of unsubscribes, you may want to slow it down a little bit. And don't bitch. Give information. People want, by the way, you cannot sell knowledge today. What do you mean? Well, guys, when we were growing up, knowledge had value. Today, Google, what's the answer to this? What's the answer to this? You're selling outcomes. And I'm very clear with people, with publicity, if you have more time than money, go do it yourself. Go online, learn. I've got colleagues I refer people to who can teach you how to get your own publicity. If you've got more money than time, and that doesn't mean $1 gazillion, it's whatever your budget is, we get it done with you. And our reputation in the field of top talent AG is such that people refer to us. And that's how Lisa came to us, Lisa Nichols. She can have anything she wants. And she saw what we do. By the way, the president of our company, David, Lisa had a one-woman show on Broadway. David's the executive producer of that. There aren't many of us who are going to go out and do that kind of thing. It's just that's the level at which you play. You can make a choice. You can wallow down in the dirt or play at a higher level. And Bernie, if it's okay with you, I mentioned that I tell people how to get on talk radio. Would that be okay to do now?
Well, Richard, the floor is yours. This conversation is about how we get down the winding road. So absolutely.
Okay. Have you ever read a newspaper story about somebody or heard them on talk radio and say, why them? I'm better than that person. That's not ego. I've got other information. You ever been there, done that? Okay, so watch this. Find a talk radio program that you like. I'm not a particular sports fan. I don't know who played in last year's Super Bowl. I am not going to pitch being on a radio or television or an interview about sports, because after I say hello, find something that speaks to you, your cohort, your family, people who have an interest in what you do. When I did this many years ago, I was on 3 different talk programs in San Diego. I was on all of them until some of them found out and said, hey, Kaye, choose one. So you got to be real niche down here. You guys are old enough to remember the yellow pages. I would go through the yellow pages and find the phone number for the station. Don't bother calling the host. Now, when we're doing these podcasts, unless the host has a team, you're going to go for the host. Today and back then, you go for the producer of the show, radio. I'm talking landline, by the way, AM, FM talk show, real radio. Not to denigrate anything that's online. We just didn't have that back then. Find the program that you resonate with. Talk to the producer, call them up. Who are you looking for? Same thing if you're pitching a summit or a conference. Call them up. What are you looking for in a speaker? What are you looking for in a guest? And then tell them, great. And by the way, have your speakers ready. I've got what I send out to people. If you want to see an example, richardk.com/guest. It's free. You see what I send out to people. And Bernie, I probably sent that to you too. richardk.com/guest. You'll see what I send out to people that I feel may be a match for, whether it's a summit, a webinar, a radio program. Tell them what you got. Don't sell them hard. These are not sales events. Summits are not sales events. Our program in Hollywood is not a sales event. When we do live events, I've got events coming up. If you want to be interviewed to get on any of our events, go to talkaboutpublicity.com. We're always looking for people to be interviewed, not sell anything. It's an interview. When they love you and like you, they're going to reach out to you and say, tell me more about your services. How do I get in touch with you? Pitch the producer, not the host. The host is the final decision maker. They're not the one who goes through all the applications. When you pitch them, and again, take a look. I'd like to believe you find it valuable. richardkaye.com/guest. It's no sign up. Just take a look at it. It's a page and a video gives you what I do. Is it effective? I find it effective. Send it to them. Don't give them every frickin' link you've got. X, Twitter, whatever it is, LinkedIn, and, make it easy for people to get in touch with you. Website, phone number, a link, email address, make it easy for them. These people are bombarded. Bernie, I cannot imagine how many applications you get all the time. The more challenging it is, the more you get 86 in the trash. This is the same thing when you're on networking events, by the way. You've seen people list 12 different contacts. Follow me here, and they never give an email address. No one wants to search today. It's point and click. We live in a one-click world. If it's not easy, next. So you ask what not to do. Do not call them and pester them. They're busy. You Wayne, give them a week, 10 days. And then, hey, I'm checking in. And here's a key question, not what has to happen. How do I get on? It's kind of obnoxious. My favorite question in these scenarios is what has to happen for? So I pitched someone about 2 weeks ago, and she's on my follow-up list today. Hey, Janet, what has to happen for us to work together? Not, hey, you ready to work with us? Give me a credit card. Yeah, you guys are laughing. People do that. A little gentler, but not always. It's not the 80s. It was hard sell.
I want to go.
Yeah, it was a good, fun time. It's not that people were gullible. It's just they didn't know any better. And you get 4 Jinsu knives. Does anyone know what a Jinsu knife is? Chop. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're younger than the 3 of us here, there was a commercial with Ron somebody. If you buy right now, you get 4 Jinsu knives. No one knew what the heck that was. Give people time to make decisions. Don't force them into a decision because you don't want them to work with you unless you can serve them. So now you're on the radio show. What do? Don't sell. Be a wealth of information. Some things you can take and use. And if you use them, feel free to reach out to me. You've got my calendar link, talkaboutpublicity.com. Let me know how I can serve you. I'd be glad to coach you on how to do this. When I got on the television show, why did I get invited back? I didn't sell a thing. Back then, they did have the Chiron, so it had the name of my office, Quantum Healing Centers. I didn't tell everyone to come in as a client. I helped Jerry G. Bishop and the Nuda, man and wife team. Your job is to make the host look good. Be informative. Dress nicely. If you're on TV, dress nicely. You don't have to dress to impress like we did at our live event, but dress nicely. And for God's sake, show up on time. If you show up late, you're finished. Live, they've got a schedule. And if you're not there, they cut to commercial and you're gone. And be gracious. Do not stare at the audience. If you're in a live studio, do not stare at the audience. Look either at the host or the camera. Unless you're in a conversation, the cameras will track you and the person with whom you're speaking. Ask questions, be alive, be playful. No one wants to interview someone who's so monotone that it's boring and let's go to commercial and end the show. And Bernie, you may have had some of those, I don't know. but they ain't fun.
Richard,
All right.
one thing that jumps out at your bio, you have been able to leverage and use and give back to NGOs, non-governmental organizations. There's a story there. Tell me it.
Well, God, I was practicing in San Diego, and I got to go into the vault for that one. Someone reached out to me to serve as an NGO, a non-governmental organization. We met at the United Nations. And Bernie, Wayne, I got to tell you, it's so long ago, I don't even remember what it was about. Too far back. It's about being in service. They asked me to show up on shows like this, on networking events, be in service. You get into a group, and they just suck the lifeblood out of the room. You can't breathe. There's no oxygen left. And I'll give you a more patent example. My wife, whose name is Angela, she's part of Rotary here. What does she get out of it? Nothing. And about a month, she's being installed as the new chapter president here in Taos, New Mexico. She came home yesterday, and the mayor was talking about one of the biggest challenges we have in Taos. We have the country's oldest and sustained pueblo. It's 1,200 years old, Native Americans, and it's a mixed culture here. And he said the biggest challenge is the integration of us white folk with Native Americans. And I looked at her, I said, this is not new. It's been going on since we're here. And she went up after the meeting and said, I'd love to participate. They have a committee to help unite the communities, to bring them together. That's service. That's what I did with the NGO. My participation lasted probably until I moved on. Show up and serve people. That's what life is for. You don't like to hang out with people who are takers. Show up and serve. It's another way to get people to say, I like that person. I like him. I like her. I want to do business with them.
The only question left is, what's the easiest, quickest way to get a hold of you, Richard?
The easiest, quickest way to get a hold of me, there's two ways. Set up a call, talkaboutpublicity.com, and my email, rkaye@richardk, richardkaye.com. But wait, there's more. I said I would give you something. I said I'd give you something that will help you leverage any publicity you've got. richardk.com, my website, richardkaye.com/leverage. Enter your email address and your first and last name, and you'll get, I think it's about a 6.5 minute or so video, which takes you through about 10 different steps on how to take any publicity, whether it's to be involved yet or anything you've got. You've been on a podcast, you've been on a summit, you've been in the newspapers. You'll learn how to leverage it so it becomes more than just a one-shot deal.
I want to say thank you to Richard for being here today, sharing your information, your service, and your knowledge. Wayne Pratt, I want to say thank you for being the co-host and ever popular coach, and you, the Knack for Business listeners. Without you, this would have what both Wayne and I are getting edified. But you know what? This is to share information with you folks too. So just to recap, if you're on a journey, you're an entrepreneur, you need to be seen and heard so you don't get lost in the fog of everybody else. Reach out to Richard. He can help you break through and get that publicity you need.
To reach the podcast hosts, email them at info@creativeinsight.com or by the website creativeinsight.com, spelled KREATIVINSIGHT.com. To reach Wayne at his email, wayneemotive8u.ca, that is MOTIVE, the numeral 8, and the letter U.ca, or his website, motive8u.ca. If you would like to be a guest on this podcast and share your knowledge, let us know. We would also appreciate your feedback on the content or format. Check the show notes for more details. For these podcasts, we like to acknowledge the support and thanks to the following people: Carl Richards from Podcast Solutions Made Simple, a renowned podcast expert; Fred Crouch, who is the Property Wizard podcaster, where Bernie is a co-host; Jovan Strika from Hive, a co-working space that is more than just a space; then Melanie Weber, Bernie's invaluable business partner; and Wayne Pratt from Motive8U Inc., who serves as both a coach and co-host of these podcasts. Disclaimer, please note that the Knack for Business podcast episodes are meant solely for educational and general informational purposes. The information and opinions contained within are not intended to be professional advice on any subject matter. The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed by the participants are their own personal beliefs and do not represent the views of the podcast hosts or any affiliated organizations. It is important to note that this podcast is not a replacement for consulting with certified experts in your area who possess knowledge of your unique situation. The hosts of the podcast, along with any participants or affiliated groups, do not take responsibility for any actions taken or not taken based on the information presented in this episode. It is highly recommended that individuals seek guidance from their own personal advisors in fields such as accounting, law, or other pertinent areas prior to undertaking any actions or making decisions that may impact their financial, legal, or other aspects of life.